Over the past 2 days, we've talked about supply and demand. This video is all about how change is going to impact demand and supply, and how supply and demand actually interact with each other. Demand is going to change in one of four ways. It's going to change depending on the population's income, the population's tastes, and their expectations. What I want you to do is quickly think about how a change in population, income, taste, and expectations would change a certain area's demand for a product or an item that they could purchase. If demand changes, it's going to either have the demand curve shift to the left or to the right. If the demand curve shifts to the left, that means demand for an item has decreased. If it shifts to the right, that means demand for the item is going to increase. Left is a decrease, right is an increase. Supply is going to change depending on resources, productivity, technology, government policy, and taxes. With resources, a change in the availability of a resource can mean it costs more or less to produce a certain product. If it costs less to produce a product, that means there will be more to supply to potential consumers. If it costs more to produce something, that means the supply is going to decrease and the producers are not going to make as much of the product. Productivity is the degree to which resources are being used efficiently to produce goods and services. Productivity is all about efficiency. Productivity is important to the supply because workers affect the productivity and impact the levels of supply by working more efficient. The more efficient they work, the more they can supply to potential consumers. Technology is also going to have an impact on supply. Technology is the method or process used to make goods and service, and it's all about an improvement on that method. Technology often improves a business's supply because they produce a higher output with less cost. The more and more businesses are able to procure objects or machines that help them more easily make their product, their costs for making the products are going to go down. So they will be able to increase the supply at a lower cost and supply more products to the market. The next two things are on the same slide, and they're going to be the government policy and taxes. If the government has a tightened government regulation on what businesses can or cannot do, it's going to decrease the supply of items which a business can produce. If the government is relaxed and they don't have a tight stranglehold on a business, it's going to increase the supply because the company can do what it pleases as far as what amounts of product they want to make and produce for consumers. We've already talked about taxes and how they impact individuals, but taxes also impact businesses as well. If a business incurs a higher tax, that means they're not going to have as much money to allocate to making products. So they're going to have to pay more of their taxes instead of making more products to supply the market. If the tax is lower for a particular business, then that means they're able to increase their supply because they'll have more money allocated to making more products for consumers. The last thing I want you to write down, or I want you to know, is what a subsidy is. A subsidy is a government payment to an individual or business to do or make certain actions. Government subsidies encourage production and therefore increase supply through lowering business costs. The more and more a government can actually give to a business to help them out with something, that means they have more money allocated to making more products, and therefore their supply will be increased. Just like the demand curve, the supply curve is going to increase and decrease as well. It's going to either go to the left or the right. If you have an increase in supply, it's going to go to the right. If it's a decrease in the supply, it's going to go to the left, similar to the way the demand curve shifted to the left and the right. What we're going to look at tomorrow in class is how the demand curve and the supply curve interact. When they interact, they make three important points. The important points that they make are the points that indicate a surplus, a shortage, and an equilibrium. A surplus is when the supply of an item is greater than the demand for it. That means the price is too high and people aren't going to buy it. A shortage is when the demand is greater than the supply and the price is too low, so people are buying a lot of the product and there's nothing left on the shelf. When a particular product reaches equilibrium, there's neither a surplus nor a shortage, and that means the price is just right. All the items that were produced would be purchased by the consumers, and therefore everything will be all good in the market. So tomorrow in class, we're going to have a quiz on supply and demand. While in class, you're going to work on graphing supply and demand and identifying these points.